You have 4 messages.
Hey, Sonic, it's Dr. Eggman. Just so you know, I'm planning to blow up the dam this Sunday. Hope to see you there. Not that you could stop me. Hey, I'm here at the dam. Just waiting on you now. Gonna blow it up any second now. Thought you wouldn't want to miss it. Oh, sorry, butt dial. Didn't mean to call you. All right, it was a trick. I was gonna ambush you, and you didn't even have the decency to show up. That's really rude, Sonic.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the January episode of the Sonic Talk Podcast. With me tonight is Alex Peel.
Yo.
Our regular GX Echidna.
I like how you almost call it the Sonic Boom Podcast.
Yeah, I know. And our special guest for the night, the evil Dr. Reef.
Hi. Yeah, I guess we have GX on so often it's not exactly a special guest anymore. He's just kind of that guy who keeps hanging around.
We need one more seat filler. Who can we get that will probably do it?
And our extra special guest, Spanish Sonic.
No hay problema, porque yo soy todo un héroe.
Yeah, he has a stuffed Sonic doll that talks.
Some of those didn't sound like actual Spanish words.
Now, when you say talks, that's in big quotation marks, right?
No, he gains sentience and he talks.
He says several phrases.
Larguémonos de aquí de una vez. ¿Demasiado lento? ¡Ja! Te olvidas de quién soy.
That doesn't sound... That sounds like some sort of... Is he like 30 in Spain or Mexico or something?
Are you questioning Spanish Sonic GX?
Yes, I am. I think that's very clear.
Stop, because I don't want to deal with this right now. We have so many other things to deal with right now. We don't need to be dealing with the intricacies of the voice box inside Spanish Sonic. Oh my God. And the sad thing, this is probably the best thing to come out of that franchise this year.
Ay, Dios mío.
I disagree, but let's move on.
No, I'm just being a guy.
Let's move on to 2014.
Move back, you mean? Because we're in 2015.
Yeah, let's go in our Wayback Machine, all the way back to February of 2014.
You know, if we're going to use the Wayback
Mr. Peabody.
I prefer to go back to 1997.
I swear to God, every radio announcer uses the Wayback Machine as a reference. They've been doing that way before Mr. Peabody and Sherman was super popular again. But
I didn't know it was super popular.
We're looking back to February when Sonic Boom was officially announced and wasn't just a bunch of silhouettes. And we got to see a brief scene of the first episode, the pilot episode, just known as Sidekicks. A trailer for the upcoming Rise of Lyric. And we finally got a good look at all the characters. Now, what was your first reactions when you saw that?
Well, if people want to hear my first reactions, they can go back to that Sonic Talk where I had my first reactions. But regardless, Knuckles pissed me off. But now I'm pretty used to him. So, yeah. I mean, you know, the usual overreaction that overzealous fans have when things that they know and love are exchanged. I mean, it's still not exchanged for the better, but it's not the worst thing in the world. You know,
I think it's a change for the better. I mean, you
think lots of wrong things, GX.
If I'm honest, I feel like it's a lateral movement at this point.
You know, I'm fine with lateral. Lateral's fine.
You know, before that show, the only character who actually had anything resembling a personality was probably Tails.
Yeah.
Maybe he had a personality. It was just terrible.
I don't know if I'd go so far as to say Tails has a personality. But I don't know. I mean, maybe in the third season when they gave him that plant love interest, maybe then. But I don't know.
I would say even like Sonic Adventure.
Yeah. I don't know about personality. I mean, he had a character arc, but I don't know. I guess I don't have a strong opinion either way.
Mhm.
I guess I just hesitate to agree with any Sonic character having a personality in Sonic Adventure. Except for Eggman. Well, no. That's Sonic Adventure 2. Yeah. Okay, we'll go with that. I like Eggman in Sonic Adventure 2. Why is everyone being so goddamn quiet?
Because you're
Because
terrible.
our host isn't saying anything to move the show further.
Jason!
I like what I said.
Jason! Okay, I guess I'm the host now. Anyway, 2014. Oh, well, I'm sorry, Jason, but we can't hear you.
Jason, no, you're not talking. You might need to check and see if your microphone is plugged in or your microphone mute button isn't checked.
If you
Meanwhile-
licked the plug, it probably shorted out.
Meanwhile, I elect myself the host of the show. So, let us move forward with, oh, damn it. Let's look at his notes here real quick. So we started in February, right? Okay, so, damn it, I don't know where to go from here. GX, what are your thoughts on Sonic in 2014?
I think that moving off of Sonic and Sonic Lost Worlds, we were kind of in a lower place. I know people were before 2013, people were reasonably satisfied with where the franchise was going. We were already off of Colors. We had Generations,
yeah.
which was well received. We had both racing games.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
But once we got to the Lost Worlds, we kind of saw, hey, we're starting this thing over again, and we're building our new engine, and it has its moments, it has its interesting, but it didn't ultimately mesh like the other ones did. It felt kind of a bit of a regression.
I enjoyed Lost World quite a bit. I felt that at its best it was at least on par with the
I agree.
the-
Oh, well, no, that's not true. I don't agree. There is audio evidence that I don't agree.
Yes.
But ultimately, critically, it didn't get particularly good word of mouth.
Yeah, I mean, certainly not compared to Generations and Colors, but then again, Generations and Colors were coming off of a really bad slate of games, and Unleashed, which was good, but a lot of people hated it because of the Werehog stuff and the QTEs.
But more or less, what could be said is not many people were saying much in the way of negative things about the franchise during those times that was about those games. Like, anytime people talked about those games, like, yeah, Sonic franchise sucks, but, that Colors was pretty good, or Generations was all right.
Yeah. It
I know.
didn't clear away all of its goodwill in one go.
I guess. I'm always going to be biased when it comes to Lost World, I think.
But when it came to 2013, I mean, we started to see that downward trend again. Lost Worlds did not get the same benefit of word of mouth. People were starting to look and say, this is not what I want again. And we started to see this weird downward trend. Apparently, we are further losing Jason on this call.
And it's our show now.
Oy. So okay,
you're still here. Never mind.
So Jason's mic isn't working. His brand new $40 mic, and it's kind of late for us. So we do. I'm sorry, Jason. I don't want to do this, but we do kind of have to go on without you for at least a little bit. So try to get this sorted out. We're just going to kind of keep just talking about 2014 in general. If you want to steer the show in some other direction when you get back, go ahead. In any case, I think I guess I have to agree that Lost World did lose a lot of goodwill. Personally, for me, I really enjoyed Lost World. I felt that in terms of design, it did a lot of things that Sonic games needed to do. The franchise needed to slow down. They needed to kind of be able to make smaller, slower stages that you can kind of take your time and not just.
I
blast
agree
through
to a
and
point, but
But I will say that its design was very erratic, and that is in the end what definitely killed it. That's its level design is I really enjoyed many aspects of the game, but looking back on it now, its level design is probably the weakest in a 3D Sonic game since Sonic. I guess Sonic 06, maybe Unleashed.
I think that really what it boils down to, though, is that it wasn't terrible. It was ham-fisted, and the media called it out, but, I mean, it wasn't, the worst Sonic game that we've had in recent history. So it didn't completely destroy all the goodwill that, generations and colors had built up.
And then we had 2014.
yeah. So again, we started with I guess I would say maybe tepid responses to the introduction. People had mostly gotten all of their fan rage out pretty early with the whole Shadows teaser image, because I mean, from that point on, you knew that was going to be Knuckles. You knew Knuckles was going to be big and broad like that, and it turned into the thing to make fun of, and it lasted for at least a few months up until lead up. But I think after release, it just became nobody actually cared about that part, and it was the game itself.
And I will just say I haven't completed the game yet. I'm probably the only person here aside from Reef who hasn't. But the game, from what I played, isn't bad. It's not great. It's not even good. It's mediocre. But it's not this disaster that some people want to make it out to be, in my opinion.
Well, the problem is that Sonic, all this game really seems to amount to is a license. It just plays and feels and is designed like a licensed game for kids.
Yeah.
And
I've played a few of those, and this isn't the worst I've played.
in that sense, though, that's fine. It would come out and it would just be forgettable, and no one would care if it was, say, Phineas and Ferb or the next SpongeBob one. But the problem is, Sonic is a game franchise. Hey, we have
Jason.
Oh my God, I'm back.
But since Sonic is a game franchise, and because Nintendo almost kind of had to push it because it was a game on their system, and they made this agreement with Sega, it really kind of got all this limelight that it just had no reason to take.
Yeah, I mean, it's like advertising Transformers Prime at the same event as Bayonetta 2 and Super Smash Brothers.
It's kind of like, honestly, I think in the end, just by the way the game was treated, I think Nintendo had more at stake here with this game doing well than Sega actually did.
Sega.
Didn't Nintendo publish it in Europe?
I think they published it somewhere. I don't know if they published it in Europe.
Yeah, because that would have an effect on it.
I mean, it was not a good place, and the funny part is, like, so many people paid so much attention to this game that, to me, it kind of missed the more important part of this series. Is that, hey, there's a cartoon attached to it,
which is pretty darn good, and probably the best thing that could come out of 2014, aside from that kind of Sonic doll.
The unfortunate part of the whole situation, though, is that the cartoon, which hasn't been very well marketed, if I'm honest, is actually better than the game, which has been fairly well marketed. And so people sort of assume that the cartoon is bad because the game wasn't great. So,
but the cartoon's been getting pretty solid ratings.
Well, that is true, but the other part of it is I don't think the cartoon would get especially good word of mouth from the same people who aren't giving the game anything solid, and that's just because for it being a cartoon, it is a very cartoonish cartoon. It just does not necessarily escape what it doesn't really just escape being a cartoon like some of the more memorable cartoons of our era, like Adventure Time or Korra.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think that that's preventing it from A, getting any sort of recognition, and B, having people even caring or giving it a chance.
And
Well-
the other bad thing about it is that it's not bad, I guess, but it's such a departure from what everyone expects Sonic to be that people just don't really know how to feel about it, I think. Just like the game, really.
No, they know how to feel about it. They hate it.
Well, yeah, but I'm
And,
talking about people who might be on the fence about these sort of things.
And speaking of Nintendo's publishing, they published Lost World in Europe. Boom was all Sega.
Oh, okay.
Good for Nintendo. Smarter choices.
Although I'm
Jason-
wondering if this whole 3-game contract isn't what screwed the game itself. It seemed like was probably slated more for next-gen systems than Wii U until the deal came around. At least that's what it seems like.
Well, maybe. I mean, it is being done on CryEngine 3, which I heard that the Wii U may have issues with that. I don't know. The whole thing's screwy.
I've thought about this for a little bit, and I agree on a sense. But from what I can tell so far, the biggest problem of the game, not from a review standpoint, but from a wide view standpoint, is that it had so much at the beginning that just was compromised. But if you think about that backwards, that also means if that game was more complete, all it would have been is just more of it, not necessarily better of it, or there would have been better gameplay or anything. And I think that the biggest complaints about it are, hey, this isn't really a Sonic game, this is more of a exploring beat-em-up, and that's something that some people are just taking very poorly. It would have still been this kind of easier kids game. It's just that there would have been more of it.
I think it also would have been more polished, which probably would have helped.
That's what I'm mainly thinking of, is the polish, and there would have been actually probably villagers inside of the village.
There would have, but how much would that have really changed the public perception of it?
Well, I mean,
It still would have been this average PS2 era type platformer.
Yeah.
Anything real special.
I guess we wouldn't have had that video that Jason kept trying to show me of this awkward jellyfish person cutscene.
It's funny because I don't think they've even introduced. I take that back. I think they've at least introduced the mayor, but nobody else who seems to have been introduced in the game and the lead up to the game as a big important character has really had any significant purpose in the show itself.
Well,
and it seems obvious that the people working at Wii Studios and Big Red Button had two different ideas of the direction they wanted the Sonic Boom franchise to go. The game really does a poor job of being a prequel to the series at all. And the series, outside of the first episode of Tails Biplane and the Enter Beam Whips, doesn't have anything to do with the Big Red Button game at all. Well, that, and I guess it's establishing the village as their base, but they don't really... Actually, no, they don't even show their homes in the game, even though they have the village where some of the characters from the show are.
Well, so far, the Boom series hasn't really done anything in the way of world building.
Ironically,
Expect it.
you could say the Senzaru portable 3DS version probably has the most in common, especially in tone.
Yeah, I mean, I think
although
it's
those
kind of,
jokes were just horrible in most
Oh,
of them.
they were horrible sometimes. There were very good jokes. Let's say
90% of the time.
ending. I think the ending was very reflective of the direction of the show.
You can go ahead and spoil it for me if you want.
It's not that important.
I know,
You
so go ahead.
have to actually see it.
Oh, come on.
Well, no, it's something.
I literally mean for it
watch,
to.
Yeah, watch it on YouTube. It's a speech that Styx says, so you have to watch the ending.
What the hell, I'll beat the game at some point. My big question for all of you is, what do you think 2014 as a whole means for the Sonic franchise?
I think people are entirely and completely depressed about it again.
Yeah, it's the lowest point since 2006, I believe.
I think that 2014 is probably the best year the Sonic franchise has had since 2003, because even though the core fans are depressed...
No,
Sonic
not just the core fans. Everyone ever associated with it, all the media is... like
Everyone who is not the Sonic's target audience is depressed. But Sonic is more relevant to his target audience than he has been since Sonic X back in 2003.
I disagree. I don't think that we have seen the numbers and response to really get that impression yet.
Well,
I think it's doing well.
At the very least, the ratings have been very high for considering its time slot.
The ratings have been high for one element of it, the show. And we don't know if that's going to be long-term. I think it's going to make a difference if we hear, hey, this gets renewed for Season 2. Sega has just... I like this cartoon, but Sega has just done a very poor job managing it, or or whoever is managing, or Cartoon Network. I don't know who's responsible for this, but problem number one, you still cannot buy this show on iTunes. That's insane to me. I can go on right now. The
best you can do is go on CartoonNetwork.com.
You can go on their website, but I can't go to... I could go on iTunes right now. I can subscribe to the new season of Adventure Time. I can get Steven Universe. I can get any of their other shows.
My big question is, can you do that for Pokemon, Tenkai Nikes, or anything Lego?
That is actually a good question.
Because
I would be very...
all the shows you're talking about are shows owned by
a certain
CN,
demographic
they give the best time slots, they heavily advertise, that are... CN has a lot of money invested in those shows, whereas Sonic Boom is an outsider show. It's a show that I essentially acquired. And so they have far less money invested in Sonic Boom.
I agree, but I'm saying, hey, it's not whoever is responsible for this, Cartoon Network or otherwise, they're dropping the ball here on making sure that it's available to people. They're putting it in a time slot that is kind of unreasonable, and it's gotten a little bit better now that the other things... I just kind of... I get the same sensation I'm getting that one might have from, let's say, that terrible Donkey Kong cartoon from a while back.
I forgot about that.
Oh yeah, that existed, didn't it?
But
the mirror doesn't lie.
But it took forever for that to even get released, and even then, it's...
Yeah, but that was in 1997.
I agree, but still, I mean, we're risking basically it not having any sort of purposeful existence, and I think right now Sega just freaking needs a foothold. They need something to keep giving them consistent income, and I don't think these terrible games... Well, okay, these games that are being perceived as terrible are going to help them.
Okay, to answer my question earlier, the only Tenkai Nikes thing available on iTunes is a movie. Now,
the other thing I think we have to consider is that it may be that since the game didn't do very well as far as the reviews, that they might just be trying to let the cartoon die a quiet death. So.
I've been wondering that myself, actually.
Well, no, I don't think that, because, I mean, this thing was at 7 a.m. to start with on Saturday mornings.
Well, my theory sort of from the start was that they put it on early in the morning, so they could see how the game would do. And if the game did really well, then they would be like, oh, let's put this on a great time slot. And since it didn't do well, they're just like, we'll
I don't
leave it
don't
there.
think Sega has that kind of hold on the programming that Cartoon Network.
No, I don't think the
does.
performance of the game.
I think Cartoon Network is the one that's holding all the cards as far as how Sonic Boom is broadcasted.
Well,
really.
if that's the case, then I would imagine that Sega could probably give them more money and they could put it in a more reasonable time slot, which they haven't done that either. So.
Right.
Well, we don't know how this plan works at all. It's probably best not to.
By the way,
That's just a
you
matter
can
of
get
saving
both
them
Lego
money.
Chima and Lego Ninjago TV seasons on iTunes right now.
Okay, yeah, all right. Okay, so
Alex,
season
your
4
mic is cutting in and out.
Oh, darn. Has it been doing that for a while?
I'm just noticing the icon on you, and it's coming in and out.
You know it's recording that, right? Like, why do you even discuss this on the podcast?
Oh, he
Because it's fun.
mentioned it.
So well, now people know what's going on in case he cuts off again.
Oh, who cares?
Let them wonder.
Anyway, so I guess go on something positive. What was your favorite Sonic moment of 2014?
I mean, honestly, mine just goes straight to the TV show. Me being, honestly, I was actually very afraid for the TV show just because this is number 6 of Sonic animation, and I've maybe liked one of them on a literal sense, and I've liked maybe 2 of them on a much more ironic sense. Whereas this is probably, like, honestly, I'm going to say this is the second best, okay, third best Sonic animation.
You're gonna put behind the Sonic movie thing that you only like ironically, really?
I really freaking like the Sonic movie.
The Sonic movie was pretty entertaining, actually.
It was entertaining in its own way. I like Sonic Underground more personally.
You like Sonic Underground more than Sonic Boom, though?
No.
GX
There
does.
we go.
I might end up liking Sonic Boom more than Sonic Sat AM because Sonic Sat AM hasn't aged particularly well for me.
I kind of disagree, but that's
I
fine.
thoroughly disagree.
That's why I said for me. For me.
For me, it's teetering at the very top between Sat-Am and this one. I really enjoy the humor on it myself.
I mean, it blows the
doesn't have
packs
episodes
off
I kinda
Sonic
miss.
X.
The biggest criticism I have from Sonic Boom right now is that conversation and very minimal movement in their CG models is really good. Anytime they want to do something fast or action-y,
It struggles.
they don't have good stage direction for that.
Yeah, that's
No,
pretty
and-
common with with CG television animation in general.
And they
Hey,
still
you
really
wanna
don't have
see-
any.
You
I was
want
gonna
to
say they still don't have any good title cards either, so I don't know where they're putting their money in the show.
Into that glorious opening.
I'll
well,
tell
if you
though,
watch the French
if you
opening,
wanna
there's
see-
actually a minute-long opening to that.
The French.
Anyhow, what I was going to say before I was interrupted 5 times, if you want to see a much better example of that, absolutely, I will recommend this to everybody who has a child in their heart right now. Go see the Ninja Turtles CG series because it's basically, from my perspective, the current Teen Titans.
Really? Damn it!
As
If
far
you make
as far as I'm
classic
concerned, it fills the gap where Teen Titans once was.
Huh. Well, I guess I'll take a look at it at some point.
I have to start watching it, but I hear nothing but praise of that show.
Yeah, I mean, I've only seen like the first 2 episodes. I think it's very good though, and I'll probably eventually watch through it. Maybe like when it comes to Netflix or some such.
If you start at
other
episode
problem-
1, the CG starts a bit rough, but if you stick with it, it gets better starting in like episode 3.
Yeah, the other problem I have with the animation on the Sonic Boom is it's an inconsistencies as far as well, there's 2 things. Eggman's mustache constantly shrinks and grows for some reason in different scenes.
That's a problem.
There's the scenes where the shine and color in the eyes are suddenly all gone, and then they'll be back in the next scene.
Huh,
And the other thing is the way they handle fluid just looks weird.
I'm confused. Those are problems?
Are they not? I don't know.
Getting back to your question, for me it was the second episode of Sonic Boom, because for me, the humor in the first episode was a little off. But it was with the second one when the Eggman goes to stay with Sonic and friends, and because his fortress was destroyed in a storm. And they just have this great odd couple moment that reminds me of one of my favorite Satam episodes. You know, the one that none of you people like, the one with Sonic and Antoine in a snowstorm. It reminded me of that, except the humor was more consistent. It was just a funny, well-timed little episode, and it really showed that the show could have some really strong comedic chops.
Well, I think that when we talked about it on the Spin Dash, I know that we said that they probably should have led with that one and not the Sidekick one, because that one is by and away the stronger of the two episodes that they started with.
It's probably still the best episode, I think.
I wouldn't go that far.
I actually rather like the Doomsday episode.
Yes.
That was pretty entertaining.
That one is
some
alright.
reason,
I love the party hat that he gets on for Doomsday.
Yeah. For some reason, I really liked My Fair Stixie, but I mean, there were some pretty good ones.
I think story-wise, that's actually one of the, as far as consistent story, that's My Fair Stixie's probably one of the better ones.
As far as Knuckles being increasingly more of an idiot, that one does win.
And I love Eggheads. Eggheads is probably my second favorite.
Eggheads.
And Knuckles is absolutely great in that episode.
Yeah, he is glorious, as he always
Of course, I think we don't want to go through a discussion of the year without at least mentioning the dark horse candidate here, Sonic Jump Fever.
Jump Fever.
That was like the best Sonic game I played at E3. And then they bring it here, and it's like they freak it up.
You know what? It's still probably the best Sonic game this year. I mean, at least I played it a ton when everybody on my Facebook account was playing it, and I was competing for high scores.
But you know, then they screwed it up with all that pay to play stuff. And it's like, damn it, you had a good thing here and you ruined it with greed.
That's Hardlight Studios. When they first start off any smartphone game, they don't quite get the what do they call it? Not the DLC, the
pay to play.
Microtransactions. They don't quite get the microtransactions right just off the bat, but then they eventually settle in and get everything going after like a few months. It was a better game than like 3 months later, but it wasn't that great of a game to start.
I was just disappointed because I actually did like the first Sonic Jump a lot. The fact that it was a set number of levels, and it's true, it was a 4-pay game, but you had levels that you actually had to accomplish, you had some bosses, you had other things to do. Now it's more of this randomly generated garbage. It's like, every game is like this. It does nothing to differentiate itself. I'm tired of these terrible iOS games that are all basically the same thing.
Yeah, I forget which game this Sonic Jump is based off of.
It's based off of games like Doodle Jump.
Doodle Jump, yeah.
It's also based off of the first game that it was, which I honestly still consider the superior game.
Yeah, that one was actually progressive levels, and then they kept adding more levels to the game itself.
And you could play Infinite if you wanted, but now it is just, hey, get the highest score, these levels, our computer made them, you probably can get through it. I don't know. Good try. Go nuts. Buy items.
You didn't end each level abandoning a bunch of flickies with in a hot air balloon and watching as you flick them in the air and they don't quite make the balloon and fall to their deaths.
So, Reef, what's your favorite Sonic moment of the year?
I still think I have to go with a couple of the episodes of Sonic Boom that have been pretty outstanding. For some reason, I really liked My Fair Stixie. That one just entertained the crap out of me.
I get the appeal.
Yeah. So I think that might have been it for me.
It's really the first episode where Styx took a prominent role and she was tolerable.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of got to ask though, Reef, because you know about this more than I do. With me uprooting my life again and moving, I haven't been reading the comic for at least a solid 6 months or so. Is there anything super noteworthy going on there? Or do you think that's a good candidate for a good moment of the year?
You know what? I consistently have been forgetting about the comic, even though I've been keeping up with it. And you know what? Now that you mention it, I've been really interested in the couple of the arcs that have been coming out lately. Actually, the one with Eclipse in Sonic Universe. For some reason, I got a kick out of that. I don't know why. I usually hate Shadow, not like all the time, but I don't know. He just doesn't appeal to me as much as some people. But I've really enjoyed it. It's been interesting. It's been kind of plot twisty. I've liked it. And then in the main series, they're finally tying in Sonic Unleashed, which is kind of funny, but it's so like different than the game story-wise.
Oh God, I'm so sick of people, complaining that it's not a proper adaptation to the, Sonic.
Oh yeah, because they did the adaptation so freaking well back in the day.
They're using that game to world build the entire new, reboot of this franchise.
I like it better than the story of Sonic.
I think they're doing a fantastic job on that.
I want these people to go back and read the Sonic Spinball adaptation and then tell me that.
I like the Spinball adaptation.
They included Hip and Hop.
They did.
Oh
they did.
boy, they included those two characters who were a plunger in the game. Oh boy, you're really selling me on it, Knuckles.
Anyway.
By the way, I just finished reading the latest issue, and I think Diana Skelly's going to be the big name artist for this year. It's a fantastic issue, probably my favorite in the last 2 years, and the characters are so incredibly expressive in this issue.
Mm-hmm.
And the action's well done too.
You know what? Forget what I said earlier. I think the high point of Sonic is going to be the comic for me this year, just because they've done so many and I was worried from the get-go. As soon as I heard, soft reboot, I was like, this is going to turn awful. And it's actually become so much better than when I picked it up again at issue like 198 or whatever. So
I mean, this issue actually makes the Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog kind of canon into the comic book now.
But in a better way than it did it the first time.
Yeah, they got a lot of the characters from that show in this one.
I have been having difficulties reading the comics ever since the soft reboot. I've been stuck in that first arc, Countdown to Chaos, since 2013. Recently, I've been trying to read it because I hear it's been great. But it's just been so hard because I always hate reboots so goddamn much. All I can think of is all those abandoned plot lines that will never get properly resolved and all those characters who were pretty much just wiped from existence.
Yeah, well, you know what? I don't miss Jeffrey St. John. I think the comic's better without him.
I would be right there with you, Reef, up to the point where that particular event right before the reboot happened. Like, I liked some of the really weird stuff they were going to. I will absolutely agree with Alex here that, I am depressed that they cannot continue it. But at the same time, you know what? I can at least accept that they didn't have a good choice in the matter.
Yeah.
I think they probably did take the best possible route with it that they could.
That's why I've been trying to get into it again.
And for the first time, like ever, with any reboots, I'm enjoying it. I'm learning new things about the world that they're building, and they're taking in completely new directions while still maintaining like lovable characters like Bunny, Antoine, and Sally. I like Rotor too. I don't know why I didn't.
Yeah, and introducing a lot of brand new characters. I mean, I'll take Relic over Julie Sue any day.
Yeah, well, yeah. I never liked Julie Sue, so.
You two, you're my enemies now. We're enemies.
Well, tough.
Oh, come on, Relic's adorable.
You have 1 minute. Defend Julie Sue. Go.
Honestly, it's all nostalgia for me.
There you go. There you go. You can pretty much disregard any of his opinions from this point forward.
But, hey, at least I admitted it. I didn't try to come up with some bullshit reason.
Oh, I'm glad you admitted it. It doesn't change that we can pretty much ignore anything you
But
say because you're
regardless,
driven entirely by nostalgia.
Yeah, yeah.
The reason, like the Knuckles comic book series was one of the big comic books I read when I was a kid, and I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
And it just really kicked me in the gut when the guy who wrote that comic book series completely made his characters completely irrelevant now.
And completely went insane.
This is why I don't mind cursing Ken Penders anymore, because I never want to have to talk with him ever again.
Oh, you've talked with him before?
Yes, we've met at Comic-Con.
we've done interviews.
I gave him $500. I gave
Such.
him $500 for a cover, which I now regret, but I do still love the cover.
Now, hey! At some point, separate the artist from the work. If you like the works in the past,
I can do that. I can do that. But
if you like the works in the past, it doesn't take away your enjoyment that
Yeah.
he went off his rocker. But
Yeah.
I mean,
I can still enjoy some of Frank Miller's stuff, and that guy's like a freaking Nazi. So
Yeah,
I
Frank
understand
Miller
that.
really went off the deep end pretty badly.
so
Anyway, well, this is not the Frank Miller show. This is Sonic Talk.
yeah, Jax, what were you gonna
Let's get
say?
back on track. My favorite Sonic moment of 2014 was me helping host the Sonic Revolution convention out in Anaheim, California, and that
Good
was
stuff.
pretty awesome. It was mostly Shane and Ladice's baby, but I was glad to be able to help and did the little trivia contest, did some prizes for that. We had a few different guests from Sonic that were like Sonic fans, including the biggest one was Tommy Tallarico, that one of the head musicians, video game musicians of all time, the creator of Video Games Live, or co-creator.
Did Sonic Black Knight soundtrack, right?
A little bit, yeah. He's mostly famous for stuff like Earthworm Jim and some other soundtracks.
Still, that's pretty cool.
nice.
Yeah, it was a fun event. It wasn't a big event. I think we only had 75 or 80 people, but everybody had a really good time, and it was a blast.
So, are we going to do worst moments now?
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think it, I have one more thing to add to this. The best Sonic game of the year.
Oh,
Smash
oh,
Brothers.
Freedom Planet. Freedom
Yep. You knew that before I said it.
I will buy that soon.
I thought, I just want to gush about this just a little bit. That if you are a Sonic fan who's depressed about how the games were this year, I want you to go on Steam right now, look for a title of a game called Freedom Planet. The history of this is actually pretty interesting because this started as part of the Sonic Fan Games Expo, the online game demo Sonic Fan Game Development Expo. I forget which year, but it is a completely original It is a completely original world. It's not connected in any way to the Sonic franchise. It is extremely inspired by Sonic. The level design, the character movement, the sense of pace is just straight out of Sonic. Characters roll into balls.
And I mean, if you watch the trailer, it looks like Sonic. There's the hills, there's the half pipes, there's the platforming. It's really impressive, actually.
It's Genesis in style, but it has a much nicer color palette.
Mm-hmm.
It has nicer sound, and it does things that Genesis really wouldn't do: sprite scaling and rotation.
So it's like a 32X game then.
No, it's good. It's good.
Hey, shut up.
Also, I haven't been able to finish it yet, but I have found my favorite part of it. There is one character that you can choose out of 2 beginning characters. You will eventually unlock at least a third. However, this character can earn a special item in the game. This item is a gas can. With this gas can, she spawns a motorcycle. From that point on in the level, you platform on a motorcycle.
Oh my god.
The motorcycle can do things like
You haven't played
roll
this,
into a
Alex?
ball with you,
No, I haven't.
drive on walls. Anything that your
It's only
character can
$5.
do,
Download it now.
your character can do on a bloody motorcycle. It's freaking amazing. It's like, you know what?
Doesn't make any sense, but it's amazing.
No, it doesn't. You know what? Shadow the Hedgehog had a good idea that they did wrong, and this game fixed it. If any game can fix an idea from Shadow the Hedgehog, buy it.
Freedom Planet's $15.
completely
not
on board with it.
$5. I was hoping it was on sale again. I was gonna buy it, but god damn it, I forgot.
I think basically, if you want me to describe the gameplay, though, it's kind of like it is very much like a Sonic style game. The characters themselves are a little bit more squirrely than Sonic. It kind of has that, hey, we're going to help you if you're walking on walls a bit type of Sonic 4 physics, but it's also a lot more forgiving. Like, you do move very fast in it, but the levels are the level and the character abilities are designed in such a way that it forgives that. The best comparison I could kind of make is it kind of feels like, what if Treasure made a Sonic game? It's just fast, it's bombastic, it has big bosses,
You are really doing an effective job selling this game, man. If Treasure made Sonic, I'm sold.
My only problem is that the cutscenes tend to drag out a long time at certain areas.
The story's nonsense and the character voices are terrible.
Yeah,
The voice
and
acting is
certain levels take a long time to
do that. If you're willing to skip through the dumb story, just get it.
I don't skip through stories. I sat through Sonic Heroes.
You know what? You can watch it if you want, but you can press start and skip cutscenes.
Awesome.
Nice.
So I just wish there was honestly, I could probably put up with it twice as much if there was a vocal mute button. There is not, but I think it's still good enough despite that.
Yeah, so that sounds awesome, but we do have to talk about something more depressing. The worst moments of 2014.
All of them.
Shut up.
Pretty much the launch of Sonic Boom
Yeah.
itself, Rise of Lyric. Then YouTube videos started popping up all over, showing every glitch in the game. The infinite Knuckles jump, which is actually incredibly hard to do on a gamepad. So
Honestly,
I don't think it's that big of a glitch if it takes a lot of skill to pull off.
Honestly, I think the most depressing moment, the worst moment there, was not that in itself, but the E3 preceding that.
Oh, yeah.
God.
Yeah.
Now,
Whenever we actually got the sense of what it was and was not going to be.
When the curtain was finally unveiled, as far as what Sonic Boom was really going to be like.
I don't know, the
Rise
fact
of Lyric,
that I got to play it kind of softened the blow for me, because I didn't think it was that bad. But,
Actually, the worst moment for me was after playing Shattered Crystal at E3. I really enjoyed that demo, but when I finally got to play the full game, it was not the same style of game that I was experiencing there, because there it felt more like an action platformer with a very large level to explore, and instead it ended up a game where you had to constantly stop and look through a map and find your certain blueprints and emerald shards.
Well, you see, that's
that
the problem.
just killed the action for me in that game.
That's the problem I was describing at E3. Of course, thankfully, they did make the characters easier to pick, but still, that's pretty much the issue I had at E3.
Oh, and Mike Kramer ought to give me credit for that. I'm the one who brought it up with him in E3, and then by the time Comic-Con showed up, so all of a sudden you're able to select everybody by D-pad.
Yeah. You made the game better. At least that's the way we go with.
Yep, I'm going to steal credit for that.
For me, there was no worst moment of 2014, but there was the most horrible thing to happen during 2014, which was the announcement of the goddamn Sonic movie. Oh my God. This is going to be a live-action Sonic movie.
Not the announcement, but the information that was determined what it might be.
Yeah, it was not only a live-action movie. It's from the director of the Smurfs.
Good.
And also it's going to be PG-13. We're going to get a PG-13 live-action Sonic movie.
I didn't hear that. That's news to me.
Yeah. That I guess that's the second
came up much later
moment.
from somebody who's working on the movie, I guess.
That's the second worst moment of 2014 is finding out it's going to be PG-13.
I have the nagging suspicion that this probably will not come out.
Oh, please, God. Please. Because this is just going to be so humiliating for me if I'm going to have to sift through these trailers whenever I take a friends or family to the movie. It's going to be, hey, isn't that thing that you do all those podcasts and stuff about? Yes.
I know that feeling.
Then again, Sony's putting out 1 million video game movies over the coming years now.
There is a way that this movie could be forgiven, though.
Yeah.
And I think
Jaleel White is Sonic?
If
Jaleel White is Sonic?
You're actually very close. If John Oliver is Sonic.
Oh, I would like it.
Okay, I'd find it somewhat less embarrassing if John Oliver was Sonic, or Eggman for that matter. Hell, I'll take him as Tails.
I want John Oliver to just be every character.
Sure.
Hey, John Oliver can be the live action.
It'll be like the Eddie Murphy of Sonic movies.
Yeah, kind of. Pretty much, yeah.
Look at Chris Pratt to be Sonic, and he challenges Eggman to a dance-off at the end of the movie.
And Eggman is John Travolta.
Okay.
It brings up the question then, the Sonic movie versus the Mario movie. like who's going to do what for which? Because I will tell you, I think it was suggested at some point in the big Sony leak that, hey, we're partially maybe considering Gendy Tartakovsky for the Mario movie. It's like, if they get Gendy for Mario and they get the director of Smurfs for Sonic,
that would be so
that better justify a terror threat than anything this interview could have possibly done.
Jimmy Tartakovsky turned an Adam Sandler movie good.
Yes, he did.
I don't care if that's not true. That sentence, the very idea, just made me sad.
God, of course, I'm not sure how they can make a Mario movie, but I mean, he's Gendy Tartakovsky. He's one of the kings of animation these days, so I guess if anyone can do it, it would be him.
The best way I've yet to be able to come up with how to make a Mario movie is to have it be kind of an introspective reflection type movie, saying like, hey, Mario, he's been this person in games who's done everything, and this is Mario looking at everything he's done in games, and maybe something big comes along that's hurting games instead of just him being in the Mushroom Kingdom.
Are you talking like a Wreck-It Ralph thing?
Like a Wreck-It Ralph thing, like a Lego movie type thing.
Or like the Subspace Emissary.
Because, I mean, Mario's so big and he's so everything that to me it makes the most sense, hey, let's use the big, let's use the everything.
So what happened?
Let's use what he means to people.
Man.
Speaking of Subspace Emissary, that was written by the guys who did Kingdom Hearts, so let's have them do the Mario movie too.
Man, oh dear God! What? Shut up right now!
I would
just shut up.
Have a Subspace Emissary movie.
Have the Kingdom Hearts writing staff do Sonic. There we go.
Okay, you know what? I could go for that because I'd still probably be better than a goddamn Smurfs movie.
Well, yeah.
Is it because the character is blue? Is that why they're doing this? Are they just assigning directors by the colors of the characters now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Ugh.
That's why, I don't know,
Good old-fashioned racism.
Yeah.
Goddamn blue people. They don't do anything for us. Why should we do anything for them?
I kind of gotta agree with what you guys have said so far as pretty much the worst moments. I just don't. For me, nothing has ever really hit super, super hard this year. The only thing, it's not really even that the game was bad for what it was. It's just the thing that hit me hardest was how much Sega just seemingly abandoned everything with Sonic Boom. Because
the more you learned about it, the more sad I got, because it was obvious this game just wasn't rushed. It was abandoned. It was just dropped.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what the rumors have been saying, that developers just left and went gold in July.
Mm-hmm.
But
it was in development for almost 3 years, wasn't it?
Yeah, but that does explain the complete lack of polish.
Yeah.
But my concern with it is that you heard my excitement in it in earlier episodes that, you know what, I kind of wish this seemed like the reboot that Sonic really needed. It seemed like it was going the direction that Sega wanted to go anyway with how their games are being written so far. And I just wanted to see Sega go whole hog on this. Just take it, run with it, make it its own thing, rebuild Sonic for the new generation in such a way that is respectful of what once came out. But you know what? We're at least going to do a new thing. We're going to make a new Sonic. We're kind of going to reduce all the friends and all the different gameplay styles, and we're just going to have this brand new thing that people can enjoy. And what we got right away was they immediately backtracked on everything, saying, "No, this is just our little side project. We're not gonna do this. We're still gonna have the regular Sonic games. We'll still have the big Sonic games."
Right.
And
they said that since day one.
I know they've been saying that since day one. That's my point, is that they never felt like they were ever actually really invested in anything involving Sonic Boom. Like, they funded it, I suppose, if not some of the Nintendo money helped fund it, or agreement, or I don't even know what's in the background of that agreement.
Yeah.
But it's like, what did they actually do? Mostly Nintendo showed it off more than Sega did. Mostly Nintendo's been doing all the work for this in terms of most of the marketing.
There were shows that Sega had where they didn't even bring the game there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It baffles me if they just had so absolutely no faith in this so early on, whenever I could look at this and I could see, you know what? I understand what you're doing from a design perspective. People may not like it, but I think that if you did this the right way, it could grow on them, and it could put you in a better market position with the franchise than you were before, without having to just once again pander to the nostalgia lovers. And they said, no, we're still going to be doing whatever we're going to do. This is just the weird little American, Western, European project that, you know, we'll do it, but we don't care. And it just disappointed me that they just never as a company seemed to take it seriously or care about it or give it any sort of support. There could be stuff behind the scenes that I'm unaware of, but it just seemed like they barely announced it when it was first announced. and they barely did anything with it as it went on. And it's just depressing because I still think, hey, you know what? They built off of what they were doing in the games, and they built a solid universe. They were doing so many of the things that I think the Sonic franchise needed to do for a long time. They made it a cast of animals. They focused a little bit more on the humor without going into this deep, dark place that they tried with so many games and just failed miserably.
Yeah.
This just seemed like, hey, we're taking all the right pieces. They never just put it together the right way. And I just feel depressed that it turned out as it did, not because of the Sonic franchise, but because I thought Sonic Boom was going to be something. And it's still something in terms of the show, but it's not what it could be. It's not what it could be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the show and the game feel so much different from one another in terms of tone. As far as the game goes, it feels like they're still trying to have that epic, feel into it, and more dark and drama, where the show is very much more lighthearted, and where Eggman's almost what you'd call a frenemy to Sonic, where they know where each other lives. Then Eggman tries to kill him every once in a while, but at the same time, they'll hang out at each other's houses.
Right.
At the same time, though, I think that's just the symptom of it being a game, and they have to have something for it to be a game. You can't have the Sonic sitcom, The Game.
Right.
That's called Mean Bean Machine.
Well, I mean, the characters as well feel quite a bit different on certain areas. Like, I noticed Tails talks way more text speak, or talks like the professor in Gilligan's Island on Rise of Lyric. And Amy is almost an entirely different character, where she's more of the leader, gymnast type, where on the show she's more of the, sweet, loving den mother.
Hey, guys, can you hear me?
As far as her character goes. And that's very crisscrossed in the first two issues of the Sonic Boom comic, where she's like the leader of the group, except she's more short-tempered, but she doesn't have that characteristic that she has in the cartoon either.
Yeah, kind of, sort of. I mean, there are broad strokes.
That's the thing, is that
the crossover between those two, but
feel quite the same. Like you were saying before on the 3DS one, that feels more like the show than the Wii U game did.
I understand that, but in general, I mean, I'm just. You know what I'm happy about? The Sonic characters feel like characters in this. Even in the game, they at least feel like characters. They don't feel like these blank vessels that all kind of look the same and are all they're all kind of heroes that are all gonna kind of save the day. And it just feels, you know what? They did something. They looked at who they are and what their strengths are, and they at least built something off of that.
I'll agree with that, because when they're not talking about boost pads or hitting certain switches that are easily spotted, they
collecting
have this just, they just talk more naturally to each other, and it really gives them quite a bit of personality.
And the
especially
question
Knuckles.
Is, are we at least, I tell you what, I will consider this more of a success if they, at least for the love of God, take that as a sign for whatever they're going to do for the next Sonic game. In the next 3D iteration, Izuka's gonna try to have a story in there. They're gonna try to do the same thing with cutscenes and the whole shebang. It's like, at least look at what this does and pick apart the parts that are good for the characters. Because I think that stuff is better for the series than what they did in Sonic Lost Worlds. To an extent, Sonic Colors. Sonic Colors doesn't really have a story. It has a series of loosely connected events. It doesn't really have a story.
Yeah, I think the character moments in the writing, the comedic writing in Colors, was a lot better than what came after it as far as Generations and Lost World goes.
I don't know what they're doing with Lost World.
It feels like Ken Pontac and and the other guy were kind of a one-trick pony, where they did a really good job on one game and not so great on the other two.
Well, to be fair, Sonic Generations didn't really have much of a story.
It didn't need much of a story.
Even in characterization, though, like, the characters weren't anything special. They weren't interesting. Like, the only person that I would even consider a character in that would be, like, classic Sonic. He was probably more of a character than most of the other characters.
Really? Not
They
Eggman.
didn't have to say anything.
Well, Eggman, to be fair, Eggman's kind of like the one exception that has been consistent throughout.
Kind of, yeah.
And he has had Mike Pollock, who probably does a lot for him.
Oh, yeah.
Honestly, like, the last time I even could tell you a Sonic story that actually grabbed my interest was, you know what? Unleashed.
Yeah,
Unleashed had a decent Sonic story.
And you know what? Chip wasn't as bad as a lot of people were making him out to be.
No, Chip's fine. Like,
Yeah.
they did good things with Chip. I think they had some good motifs going, and anybody who has not seen these, go to YouTube. There are Sonic Unleashed short films. They have no dialogue. It's all character movement. They're great.
Yeah, they're funny.
They're just
Including the Night of the Werehog.
yeah. I recommend all those, and that's I kind of wish that in going into the future, Sega would look at those. Sega would look at Sonic Boom as a TV show, and they would say, you know what? These have some good ideas. I think we need to go back to those.
You know, I hate to admit it, but I actually really enjoyed the story on Black Knight, even though the game was kept pretty horrible.
I can't even tell you the story on Black Knight, except for, hey, all these characters are not actually the characters.
Good times.
So I did have to step out for a minute. Where are we at right now?
I went on a big, long rant, and then I was done.
Jason, is there anything else you wanted us to talk about?
Well, could I add what I think the worst Sonic moment is?
Oh,
what's that?
Go on.
I think to me that the worst moment of the whole year was really when the reviews started to come back for Sonic Boom, because the game itself isn't great, and I think we can all agree that it's not, outstanding. But it started coming back with like 2s, and I don't think any game that you can play without it completely falling apart deserves a 2. I think that a lot of the reviews that came back were just spite, and it made me really angry, actually, that they just, panned the game worse than it deserved. I mean, okay, fine, it's not a strong game. Give it a 5. It was an average game.
Yeah.
It didn't deserve a 2.
What was driving me nuts? There were fans. Yeah, sorry. What was driving me nuts is there was fans that were saying this was worse than Sonic 06.
If you think that this was worse than Sonic 06, you either haven't played Sonic 06 or you are actively high.
Yes.
Yeah, seriously, this game,
or passively.
You can get through it from a point A to point B. I mean, it may be very bland at times, but you can get from point A to point B without any real troubles.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? You know who wrote the most fair review I've seen so far?
You.
I haven't written a review yet.
Oh, okay.
Destructoid.
Oh, did Jim write the review for that?
I don't know if he did, but
I doubt it, because that was actually
so. I think
Rise of Lyrics was in his top 10 of worst games of all time of this year.
Yeah, but Destructoid, they gave the game everything they said was pretty much what I thought. It's a amazingly mediocre game. 5 out of 10, average, nothing special, but it's not effing Superman 64.
Right.
It's not effing Aquaman,
Mm-hmm.
It's not Sonic 06.
And that's my point. Like, that was the thing that I think was the lowest for me for the whole year. It's like, this game doesn't deserve it. I don't care if it's, mediocre. I don't care if it's a little bit broken. A game that's like a 2 is going to be, your Aquaman, your Superman 64 is probably a 1.
Down there, man. It's going to be Alien Colonial Marines, man.
Yeah. Given that 2 is being polite.
like GX was saying, there are some good things out of here that are actually an improvement over what we've gotten from other Sonic games, like characterization. But I mean, other things like infinite lives, more checkpoints, and that kind of thing. That is actually an improvement over what we've gotten in certain Sonic games. It's a lot less frustrating than we've had in other titles, like Sonic 06, for instance, or Shadow the Hedgehog.
There aren't nearly as many picks of death.
Right.
Yeah.
And you just get like spawned back to where you were. You know, it's just
There's no real controller.
Hello.
Hello?
You're here.
Did you hear me?
Good time.
Yeah, I can hear you. We
No
lost
real
you for
controller.
for a minute there.
I was saying there's no real controller throwing times.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the game plays perfectly fine. I mean, I stopped playing it largely because I had things like Halo and Broken Age and Shadow of Mordor that I really wanted to get through. You know, AAA titles. So it wasn't an awful game. It was perfectly playable, serviceable. It was average combat that felt good to play at times.
Yeah. I don't mean to. I hate to be the person who kind of responds to this kind of thing, but it just stuck in my craw a little bit, being referred to as an Sonic Boom apologist. And my attitude is how it always will be with this game. You know what? If you are a Sonic fan, if you are like me in your mid to late 20s, this game probably isn't designed for you. It was not designed with you in mind. It was designed for kids. And you know what? Kids who actually like the cartoon and want to get into this through the cartoon are probably going to like this. And I don't think that it's going to be a situation where if you get it for a kid, they are going to be sorely annoyed and disappointed.
Right.
I think all the stuff that goes on in this type of game is going to be the type of thing kids like.
Right, right.
The Miiverse would, agree with that. There's been a lot of positive, posts on Miiverse, and that's mostly kids.
And you know what?
Enjoy
I
the
mean,
game.
the other thing is this kind of goes back to the whole review thing. If you're reviewing a game, you're not supposed to think about, oh, is this game something I'm enjoying? It's supposed to be, is this game good, and will the target audience enjoy it? And
well, I kind of disagree with that.
Yeah, I disagree with that too.
I think you can place yourself in a different perspective. That if you're not enjoying a game, you can say, I'm not enjoying this, but I do understand what type of qualities it has.
Yeah.
Similarly, I think you can enjoy a game that you also acknowledge has flaws.
yeah, well, that's kind of my point here, is that when they reviewed this game, did they not stop to think, okay, well, maybe, I'm not enjoying it, but the game's not abysmal?
Well, it's just kind of the problem of, you know what? So if it were any other licensed property that wasn't a video game, that would be fine. But it just kills this game that it is Sonic, a character that has existed since the 1990s and has had some good games and a lot of very poorly received games. And I don't think he gets a break that other franchises, properties like that would get. And I think part of that is just because he, despite what I think a lot of reviewers would like, Sonic still has a lot of cachet. Like, as a media property, it still is in the zeitgeist of what's going on. And I think that a lot of outlets would just love to ignore it, but at the same time, they also have to serve their audience, and their audience still pays attention to Sonic to some extent.
Yeah.
I don't know if that seems accurate enough based on your experiences, Alex, Jason.
Yeah, I get to what you're coming from here.
Yeah. But go on.
Let's move on. Well, we're going into 2015 now, and What are you guys looking forward to in 2015?
Sonic Adventure 3.
I mean, we got some, as far as the comic goes, we got some upcoming story arcs. The first issue of the Sonic the Fighters adaptation just came out. And it's awesome that the art by...
They did a Sonic the Fighters adaptation in the comic?
That's what this new 4-part saga is going through with
God
Sonic
damn it,
268.
I need to start reading this!
Seriously, it's the best issue, and it's got a bunch of characters from the Adventures of Saturday Morning Sonic.
Wow.
And it's got a brand new penciler who reminds me a bit of Ben Bates. She's very expressive in her art. The characters are just like very animated. Honey the Cat's got a big part in it. It's got classic Sonic. It's got a whole bunch of cool stuff. Anyway, and then we got the upcoming another Sonic and Mega Man crossover event, but this time with Sonic Boom and Mega Man X.
I'm a tad disappointed that they're doing another one already.
I'm actually kind of nervous about this just because I kind of liked the first crossover, but as a general rule of thumb, crossovers are pretty bad unless you make particularly strong strides to merge two universes, such as like a Marvel or a DC.
Right.
It was okay. Like, if I look at it from a story perspective, you know what? They got the characters together. The plot didn't all fall apart. There were some amusing moments. But in general, I wouldn't say, yeah, that was a really great story. I was like, yeah, that sure was a crossover between those two things.
I love the last crossover.
They both existed in the same thing. And you know what? They said, hey, we had this character and this character have this in common. You know what? I bet they would have dialogue together. Let's give them some dialogue. Wait, we have a character named Shadow and Shadow Man? Oh, well, let's have that. It's like, you know what? You did well for that type of thing, but you're still doing that type of thing.
And the next one, they're going to be doing Mega Man X and Sonic Boom.
Yeah, let's get some Mega Man X and Sonic.
It's gonna be a 4-universe crossover this time.
I'm far more interested in seeing Sonic Boom Sonic and regular Sonic meet up than I am with Mega Man or Mega Man X meeting up with them.
Hey Sonic, you're wearing a scarf, huh? Why are your friends so goddamn stupid?
We also have Sonic Runners, a mobile game by Sonic Team themselves this time instead of Hardlight Studios.
Oh yeah, have we gotten any information on Sonic Runners?
It'll be coming soon. Like they announced that they're going to have information soon. So the announcement of an announcement. Don't you just love those?
It's a mobile game, so it'll probably be okay. But I mean, come on, it's a mobile game.
Well, for me, it doesn't really bode well for Sega as a company that they are now having Sonic Team work on mobile games.
Well, I mean, it can't be any more degrading when they make Shadow the Hedgehog.
I am thinking that just based on what our site, let's see, we had last year was Sonic. What was the big game? Sonic Lost World. Then before that was the racing game, right?
Except Sonic All Stars Racing Transformed
from Sumo Digital.
This year was Sonic Boom
and Sonic Jump.
I have just based on the amount of time between, I'm not entirely convinced that this year will be another, we'll call it mainline Sonic platformer. I have a feeling that it might be another spin-off game.
I'm crossing my fingers for All Stars.
Seems about right.
Crossing my fingers for All Stars.
Yeah, but All Stars what?
All Stars from Sumo Digital. That's all I care about.
I know, but like, what is left for them to do?
Well, they could do a fighting game, or they could do another racing game.
Smash Brothers knockoff.
I don't know if I would go to Sumo Digital for that kind of game. Like
Sega, well, yeah, but Sega does have AM2 for fighting games.
well, they do have
They're
they
pretty
do
good
have
at that.
AM2.
Sega Bash Sisters.
I don't think it's a very good idea for them. Well, I guess it would have a whole year between it.
Well, before Fighters Mega Mix, before Smash Brothers, there was AM2 did Fighters Mega Mix, which
No, I'm thinking
crossover
time-wise.
fighting game.
When is the next Mortal Kombat going to come out? When is the
I don't
next Street Fighter going to come out? Because there is a big danger if they try to do something like that in a year with those stronger releases.
Mm-hmm.
I think Sonic Team can't afford to have another or Sega can't afford to have another spin-off Sonic title this year. I think we're definitely going to get a Sonic Team game title in 2015.
I think Sega can't afford to have a lot of things that they seem to go for. I'm amazed Sega's still in business. I don't know how Sega can afford an Atlas right now.
There's sort of a double-edged sword here, because on the one hand, can they afford to release another, main sequence game right after Sonic Boom got panned? But on the other hand, can they afford to not do that? Because, how long can they go without releasing a Sonic game and still be okay financially?
I'll be honest, I don't care about that. I don't. I just hope that if it's another mainline Sonic game, it's really good. And if it's if it's not, I hope it's an All-Stars game from either Sumo Digital or AM2 or someone who knows what they're doing.
I think there's still the possibility of a download game this year.
Like what? Sonic 4 Episode 3?
Not
That
really
got
like-
canceled, by the way.
Yeah, like they were actually going to do Episode 3 after how Episode 2 did.
Yeah.
Who was expecting an Episode 3 at this point?
I
don't
was
know if
actually a
Alex
little
has
bit
been,
surprised 2 came out, to be honest, but...
Yeah. I don't know if Alex has been following the news, but pretty much Kevin Below officially confirmed it, that they were thinking of having Taxman do like Episode 3, but with the sales of Episode 2, they just canceled it out.
No,
You know what? Let's
Taxman.
frickin' have Taxman make a port of the Sonic 2 game that they made for phones.
Yeah,
And put that on consoles with
I
all
don't
the extra stuff
understand.
they put in it.
Why the only console that I can properly play the new Sonic 2 and Sonic the Hedgehog and Sonic CD ports with proper controls is either the NVIDIA Shield or the freaking Ouya. I mean, come on, Sega.
You know what would actually be an okay project then, now that I think about it?
Freedom Planet and Taxman working on all original Sonic game?
I wasn't even going to say that. I was just going to say have him in assistance reproducing Sonic 3 and Knuckles.
Oh,
I think that's what everybody wants right now.
Yes.
I think if they brought that up, I think if they were able to recreate that, a firm 60 frames per second, and just sparkling nice, maybe add a few extra features. Hey, maybe even just like they pull a Sonic 2 HD project out of their backsides and say, hey, we made this look super fancy now.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. I don't feel like they're in a good position right now to make and release another big, huge Sonic game. I have a feeling that whatever we see next outside the mobile space will be smaller or a spin-off.
Well, you know what? If we can get like a Taxman project or a Sonic 3 port project, I'd be game for that. But
Or
yeah,
hear me out on this.
what?
You own frickin' Atlas. Have Atlas make. I don't care what. Have them make the Sonic Persona game. Just.
Okay.
If you need a good developer to make a good Sonic game, you'd have Atlas. Jeez.
Oh, I'm sure Sonic's been wanting to blow his
them on
brains out for
making-
quite some time now.
Quit putting them making Hatsune Miku dancing Persona games. Have them make actual Sonic games. I don't know.
No idea
I'm
how
just
that would work. I have absolutely no idea how that would work, but why not?
next year's Sonic game is Sonic
Actually, an Odyssey.
Cross Hatsune Miku.
But like for me, like I guess my dream project at this point would be Taxman and the Freedom Planet developers working on an all-new original Sonic 2D game. That's not for a freaking phone.
My dream project right now is just straight up. You know what? We made classic Sonic in the other game. We can have the cutscenes where he doesn't talk. Let's just have a new game in 3D in the generation style that is all just classic Sonic.
That would be kind of awesome, actually.
Yeah.
My dream game would either be a point-and-click adventure for the tablet starring like the Chaotix, or a Shadow the Hedgehog 2 that kind of parodies itself but is done by Platinum Games. So
Shadow the Hedgehog 2?
Okay, you lost
Platinum
me
game.
at point-and-click, but you had me at Platinum.
Okay, so a Platinum Sonic game that's a point.
Well, as far as Chaotix goes, it would be like in the style of Phoenix Wright.
That would be terrible, and you should feel bad.
Yes?
No, I want Vectrix yelling at the judge, Where is the computer room? Oh, wait, what was the quote? Or
Well, I don't know, but you just called him
Find the
Vectrix.
computer room!
Oh, yeah.
You just called him the...
I'm a computer.
I have a Vectrix sitting right in front of me. I'm sorry. It's just...
Vectrix the crocodile.
Yeah, he's
He's made completely out of lines, but you know what? He plays asteroids really well.
Did you say he's made completely out of lies?
Lines. You know
Yeah,
what a
same
Vectrix
thing.
is?
Yeah.
Good. And anyway,
Completely made out of lies as well, so.
hey, the Vectrix is awesome. But I don't know about Shadow the Hedgehog 2, but I'd be game for a Chaotix point-and-click adventure game, even if it would be awful, because I like point-and-click adventure
Here's
games.
the thing. If Platinum made Shadow the Hedgehog 2,
I guess it would be good, but...
how about we put this? If Platinum made blank, I think that's something we might be able to agree on.
Okay, if Platinum made anything, yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
This is
But
starting to sound like a Cards Against Humanity card, actually. If Platinum made blank, then
If
blank.
Platinum made a windmill full of corpses, I'd
If
still buy that.
If Platinum made an Apple Bandai Pippin game.
If Platinum made a bigger, blacker dick.
Okay, and that's where we move on to something else. So,
Oh, really?
anything else are we looking forward to for 2015?
Oh, I actually heard something foul-mouthed from GX. That's new.
I gotta
that
say,
doesn't count. That's a Cards Against Humanity. I can swear when it is factually accurate.
that's true. I would say for
Even
me,
though that's not
I'm-
really a swear.
Yeah. I'm sort of interested in seeing where the comic goes, really. I've been thoroughly enjoying this latest couple of arcs, both in the main series and Sonic Universe, so you know what? I'm hoping the momentum keeps going. That's basically my big thing. It seems like they're going off in a really strong direction right now, so I'm looking forward to this.
Not to bring it around, but yeah, this next arc with the Sonic the Fighters arc and the regular Sonic, it looks fantastic so far. I really love the first issue, but I'm worried about, like GX was saying, the Sonic Mega Man crossover. He's going to grind that all to a halt again.
Oh, I forgot
They're
about that.
going to have to start it right back up.
Well, at least they're not going to reboot the franchise again after that.
No.
Yeah.
I'm looking for, in the comics, in 2015, I'm looking forward to reading all the 2014 issues.
I'm looking forward to reading the rest of the 2013 and 2014 and probably some 2015 issues. Because I'm
And
just
you can
gonna-
get the graphic novels on ArchieComics.com, kids.
And I'm looking forward to the Sonic Amiibo.
Oh, yeah.
I'm
I
looking
guess-
forward to killing someone to get this Sonic amiibo.
Well, I
Both
just
sides of it.
I just pre-ordered my Sonic amiibo along with my Mega Man amiibo from TigerDirect.com. So
I, too, am looking forward to a Mega Man amiibo. Also, I guess there's a Sonic one or something.
although what I'm really looking forward to is that Vice statue that should be coming in the mail any day now. But Yeah, for me, I mean, I'm just optimistic for the future. I always am. I'm a stupid, dumb person like that. So I'm just looking forward to what the future holds for the franchise, and
You're looking
hopefully
forward
things
to
will improve.
Sega staying in business for another year.
Fingers
Yes.
crossed.
Looking forward to 44 more episodes of Sonic Boom starting this Saturday.
Whereas
All 44 of
I
them at
am
once.
looking forward to Sega going out of business and having to hopefully sell Sonic off to Nintendo.
And I'm looking forward to murdering you in your sleep.
I'll be perfectly honest with you. If that did happen, Nintendo's the one I'd want them to buy.
Well, as opposed to what? Capcom, who hasn't released a game like all of last year except for more Monster Hunter clones.
I was thinking Rare, actually.
Monster Hunter, and that's about it.
What's wrong with Rare, my friend?
Wait, what?
Is Rare still around? I actually don't know.
Rare's
Yeah,
owned
Rare-
by Microsoft.
Yeah, I know.
They're still
They
around.
haven't done anything. Like, the last thing they did was their horrible Kinect sports games.
Well, clearly they need to buy Sonic so they can make some more games then.
Microsoft?
I mean, I said they need... Yeah.
Hey, Microsoft had Blinks the Cat.
Yeah.
They could do a Sonic thing.
Yeah.
By the
and
way, in
that
case you
cheap,
haven't
like,
heard, they
on
lost
things for Nintendo.
Yeah, so then Sonic's trademark can get dropped, which just happened recently with Blaze the Cat.
Wait, what?
Oh!
Yep.
Wait. What?
Microsoft dropped the trademark on Blaze the Cat. Blinks the cat.
Okay.
Oh!
That's where
What
you.
the hell, Jason?
Like, what?
Hey,
Well,
Blaze and
All I
Blinks
know
sound
is that if
exactly
you're
the
bought by
same
Microsoft,
almost.
it's pretty much a death sentence as it is.
It doesn't make it any less funny, let's be fair.
Anyway, are we... I don't have anything else to say about 2015. Anyone
But you
else?
don't.
That's gonna be about it for me. One of my predictions is that the Sonic Boom, the 52 episodes ordered, they're going to be split in half, and the 26 will be this season, and the other 26 will be season 2.
Well, it can't be...
That's not even a prediction. That's just how Cartoon Network operates with their bizarre standards of seasons.
Well, that's how cartoons in general operate, though. Cartoon Network, I think, does not necessarily have 26 episode seasons. Like Adventure Time, they aired throughout most of the year last year, I think.
They do weird like mini seasons. Like they split their seasons up into small sub seasons, air a chunk and then take a break, and then air a chunk and then take a break, and it's really screwing up my ability to watch Steven Universe. Like it's been more than a year, and they're technically still only maybe halfway through season 1.
Right.
Thank God that series has a season 2.
I know, really.
That happened to me with Gravity Falls last year. It was just all over the place. The episodes were scattered. It would be months before you got a new one after only like 2 new episodes or something.
My personal prediction for 2015 is a new Knuckles game for the 3DO.
For the 3DO?
By which he
Sorry,
means he's
yeah.
going to get his hand stuck upside down into the 3DO.
GX, you know me so well.
Yeah.
Kind of creepy, really. Stop it.
Well, hey, those cameras were hard. Hard to plant. I'm just trying to take advantage of them.
Might as well get your money's
gross.
worth.
So, anyone else? No predictions?
I think that there will be some form of non-mobile Sonic game. I feel like it's just going to make people depressed, and that the general consensus will still be, hey, we don't like it, unless it is some sort of spin-off racing game again.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're probably going to get at least a spin-off, but 2016, that's the next big Sonic anniversary year. So that I suspect that the Sonic
Generations 2.
That may be the year that the Sonic Generation team is targeting their next game towards.
Yeah.
I mean, if they release their game this year, I guess the Lost World people would be doing the Sonic Colors Lost World people would be doing the anniversary title, and I'm not sure if that's really something that they'd be allowed to do.
I am absolutely guessing that whatever the next Sonic game is going to be, that as long as it's not just a mobile game, it is going to be multi-platform because I don't think they can
Definitely.
afford to be just a Wii U developer.
Oh,
Yeah.
sure.
With the way the Wii U is performing, I don't see how Sega can just stick with the with Nintendo.
I'm predicting if there's any more Sonic Boom games, they will just be mobile platform. Period. And
Yeah,
not
that sounds about right.
Yeah, I mean,
Right,
I'm
right.
I'm sort of not expecting to see much more from that franchise, other than maybe the cartoon, really.
Well, I hope the cartoon sticks around for a while though, because
Yeah.
Let's at least make one. I did this last time. I want to do it again. Let's at least make one more big, wild, almost nonsense prediction that probably won't happen.
okay,
Ken
let's
Pender's elected as Jesus too.
Oh, I'm going to kill you.
Well, he said wild and completely unlikely.
Well,
I don't
I
care.
got something
Don't
completely
look it up.
unlikely. Ken Penders actually puts out his first issue of the Lawsuit Chronicles.
Oh God.
I hope
You
that's
can only
unlikely.
get it on zip disk. My thing is actually, after this second run of Mario Kart DLC, there will be a third and fourth set announced, including one of the racers that will be Sonic.
That'd be cool. Although I don't know if they'd want to compete directly with the fact that he has his own racing game.
Yeah, but that game's been out
But GX, why would Sonic be in a car?
because
Yeah.
he has two broken legs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because he didn't pay his rent because Sega's not making any money. Oh,
Sega is making money.
shut up. That's the only way the joke works.
Yeah, I mean they're making all that sweet pachinko cash
I know.
and blowing it all on making video games that aren't going to be profitable.
Sega made a large portion of the Nadesco toys that I own.
Let's see. Well, I kind of already blurted out my big crazy prediction, which was Sonic Adventure 3. But a new game from the Sonic Lost World developers. Wait, no, that's not crazy. Damn it. You know what? I don't have anything. I'll get Sonic Adventure 3. I'll stick with that.
Jason, what do you got?
For a crazy prediction?
Be eccentric and unusual. Dream World. Give us Dream World. Or is your Dream World just going to be Shadow the Hedgehog by Platinum?
That would be the craziest one.
Dream World? Okay, I changed mine to Ian Flynn writes the next Sonic game.
I say we get another Sonic arcade game that actually, arcade, release in Japan or in the States. At least to
Pachinko.
round one arcade over here.
Let's see. How about Sonic 015?
Shut up.
That'll be the name.
Yeah,
Be the name after the first month or so.
Right. Because Sega's like, we got to rebrand Sonic, and it can't be Sonic Boom, so we're just going to rebrand him with a game titled Sonic the Hedgehog, and it'll only be on the next-gen systems.
Let's just hope they name it Sonic 015.
That would be actually pretty awesome.
Oh,
Just
God.
start a Madden numbering convention in the Sonic franchise. Even though they'll be completely different games.
And it'll be a really good game, but everyone's going to give it 2s because of the naming convention. They're just like, that's not how you do dates, Sega.
I
Okay.
love the physics in this game, but dear God, Sega, why would you name it like that? 3.5 out of 10.
I know there's an O in front of the 15 in our year, but I don't care. That's not how you do it.
20015.
That's even more wrong, actually.
Happy New Year's, everyone. Happy 2015.
Wow.
And I think with that, we can put this whole podcast to bed. What do you think, Jason?
I think somebody ought to go to bed.
Okay, someone just yelled something at us.
It certainly did. Is it still Spanish?
Nope.
That's not
It's
a problem
not-
for me, because I'm very heroic.
He's
Yo
not
quiero
speaking Spanish
Sonic.
anymore. What's with that?
He's speaking like Sonic. Okay, you want me to end it in Spanish?
I get like, is this like the Toy Story Buzz Lightyear situation where he just has that flip switch?
Sounds like it.
No hay problema, porque yo soy todo un héroe.
Does he speak anything else, or is it just Spanish and English?
Spanish, English, and French. So
Ooh.
okay, French Sonic.
Language of
French
love.
Sonic, yeah.
Let's end it on French.
Uh-huh.
Qu'est-ce que quoi?
You know,
Pas un problème pour moi. Je suis un vrai héros.
French Sonic still sounds more like Sonic than Spanish Sonic does.
Spanish Sonic sounds like he should be on a soap opera. You're right.
Un hot dog au chili.
What do you
French
have against?
Sonic sounds like
What do you have
Antoine.
against?
So.
What do you have against? Hey, well,
Pas
Antoine.
trop hot dog au chili.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Okay, are we gonna keep screwing around, or are we gonna be done?
I think we're gonna end this now.
Okay.
Mhm.
I think we're about an hour and a half right now. Not too bad. I was hoping to cut off another half hour, but
Peace, everyone.
you guys
Happy
are pretty
New Year.
funny. So, see you guys. I guess hopefully maybe we'll see you in 2 weeks. That'll be nice.
If
Maybe
Gamera
months.
doesn't attack,
He's the friend of all children.
he is.
I'm more of a Ultraman person myself.
That's because you're not friend
Alright.
to all children.
Yeah.
No, I hate children.
Well, there you go.
Right. Anyway,
Peace.
see you in February.
Bye.
Bye.
Trop long? Ah! Mira que está feo.